Tanya, friend, as always, I am so excited to sit down and connect with you. And I'm excited to say congratulations for On Purpose. This is so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so exciting. It's one of those things where you spend a long time thinking about the book, writing the book, and then all of a sudden here it is. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's an amazing thing to see the book in the hands of women. That's what it's all about.
And I think it's so timely. Like, I don't know when exactly you started creating this, but it came out just in the right time. I am personally a huge fan of Joy of Missing Out, and we had you take the stage at Thrivers Live 2020, and you were one of, if not the speaker that people resonated with the most, because
Oh,
with Joy of Missing Out and with On Purpose too, Tanya, the way you coach is so highly actionable, and you really even make me feel like I can move, I can do it, I can take action. So I'm really excited to dive deep into this, and I know that my Thrivers and my whole community
hey.
is going to be excited too.
I'm excited. I had so much fun speaking at your event. And in fact, I talk about, Noelle Sweeney, who I met at your event in the book, which is kind of funny because it really, I love speaking with women, and I love giving them actionable things that they can do like right away. We don't have time for a lot of fluff and an extra, I want to give you strategies. Let's live on purpose. Let's feel good about our days.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start right at the top with that. Why did you choose this as the title, and what does it mean, living on purpose?
Yeah, I like to say that living on purpose is about living bigger than today. It's looking out at the horizon and seeing tomorrow and connecting our actions of today with what we want, what we dream of in our future. And for me, it's funny because I started off writing this book. HarperCollins asked me to write a second book following up with Jomo. And I said, sure, I can write another book on goal setting. So I totally planned on writing a book that was all about goal setting. And I sat down not long after Thrivers, February 2020. I sat down, wrote out a whole outline. I had it all mapped out. And then March 2020 happened, and the whole world just like everything went out the window. And all my big plans of how I was going to write this book just didn't happen. I was all of a sudden I was homeschooling kids and trying to shift gears with my business and figure out what do I do about my team and all those other things that were happening in our world. And what's beautiful though is that if I had sat down and really just written out this book, it would be a very different book than what I have today. Having that space, almost, let's say, a procrastination. I was procrastinating, right, on the book because all these other things were happening. And in that space, I really began to shift my thinking about what I wanted this book to be. I was asking a lot of questions of myself and of my world. I saw a lot of people asking questions in their world about what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is this what it's all about? And so because of that, the book really evolved and it grew into something very, very different. I like to say the book is like this organic thing that if you allow it to grow and take you where it wants to go and you follow those rabbit trails, that's when the book opens up and it just shows you this is what it's all about. And that's what happened with me with this book is it became so much bigger than goal setting. I began to realize goals are not the goal. I think so often we think when I achieve this level of revenue or when I own my own salon, when I do, X, Y, whatever it is, when I reach this someday, then everything's magically going to be better. And then it happens and we're not magically better. We're like, okay, now what? And so it really became what's bigger than our goals. It's really living a life to that bigger purpose, that bigger calling, seeing the work that we do and connecting it to something so much bigger than, like for your listeners, than cutting hair. You do so much more than that. The way you enhance people's lives, the way that you shift the way they feel about themselves, the way you build other people's confidence, that's the bigger picture. So it really is tying what we do to something bigger than just who we are and what we do on our to-do list.
I love that in such a huge, deep way. And now hearing your process, I understand why the book feels so timely to me because it is of the time. And when you say you sat down to write a book about goal setting, I always say goal setting isn't sexy. And that's why nobody wants to do it. Like, we want to have goals. We
Yes.
know we're supposed to do it. You have to have a
Mm-hmm.
target. But does anybody really want to sit down and do it? Because of a lot of what you said, the goals feel empty. Like, yeah, I guess I can make $100,000, but what does that even mean? And I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like, so often we achieve, X, Y, or Z goal thinking that it's going to make us feel fulfilled, and that fulfillment doesn't come.
Right.
So how do we go about the process? Like we buy in, we understand, like you can't just set the goals. It has to be something bigger, and you have to be looking to more than just a certain amount of haircuts or just achieving, a certain role or a specific kind of achievement within the industry or with anything. How do you figure out, like, what is my bigger purpose? One of the things I hear from my audience a lot is it enough to just serve my community? Is it enough to just be somebody who does cuts and color? Like, does that really even give me a purpose? How do we start to answer those kind of
Yeah.
questions?
Or is the hair cutting, the coloring, the extensions, all those a bigger part of something else, right? That's really what the question is. And I think the reason why goal setting is not sexy, why we don't feel fulfilled by it, or why we put it off, is because a lot of times we don't know what our goals should be. We look around, we look left, we look right, we're like, oh, that lady over there, she's doing this, so I should do this. Or, oh, that one's killing it with hair, what she's doing in the chair. So you know what? I'm going to set the same goal as her. And that's great for them. Those are their goals. You need to set goals that fit you and what you really want for the big picture. And I think that's the first thing. And it's not going to be found in the number of haircuts you do, or the number of colors you do, or achieving a certain level of certification. It really is thinking about those things as the vehicle to get you the life you want, right? Those things, the revenue, because I think a lot of times as business owners, we get really caught up in I got to hit the 6 figures, then I got to hit the 7 figures, right? And it's like, what does that really get you? It gets you more work. It gets you more tired. It gets you more stress and those things. What is it you really want from those things? So really, too, looking backwards, when I talk to women about defining success on their own terms, it's not about the money. Just like goals, just like we just talked about the haircuts, that's a vehicle for what we want. What do you look like in the future, spiritually, relationally? What are your relationships like? Where are you living? What does your lifestyle look like? Then we can back up and go, okay, to get that, I need this much revenue. Okay, then to back that up, okay, if I need this much revenue, I need to cut this many women's hair, or I need to do these things, right? Or I need to get this certification. So for me, when we talk about it in the book, this is that whole big idea too of cathedral thinking. And that's kind of a term that I think really embodies this idea of looking out to tomorrow. So cathedral thinking is based off of, think about those beautiful cathedrals when you go to Europe, Notre Dame and the Duomo in Florence, those amazing, beautiful cathedrals, which have stood for thousands of years. They took hundreds of years to build. So those builders, those city planners, those architects, they started them knowing they would never see them finished. It was something so much bigger than them. So it's really thinking about, what's your cathedral? What does your life look like down the road? What does your cathedral look like to you? Not to the girl in the chair next to you. What does it look like to you, right? And then we start to work backwards, which we can talk about if you want, but that's really what we want to do. We want to look forward to, what does my life look like? Not what does my bank account look like? Not what's my follower count? It's, what do I want out of my life? And then how do I get there? Right?
The cathedral thinking to me was something in the book that really resonated with me. That was a real light bulb moment, because I'm that person who wants what I want and I want it right now. And then once I have it, I'm changing my mind and I'm doing something completely different anyway. And I remember, I don't do it now, and that is the game changer for me, but I was the person who would look to my left and my right, or somebody who was 6 feet ahead of me, and say, okay, well, I want what they have. So if I just keep doing what they're doing, I'll build my cathedral. But the reality is, that would have never panned out. I was exhausted. I was chasing somebody else's dream, and it wasn't authentic to me. But we often all do that at some point. It's so easy to get stuck into it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We think the grass is greener on the other side. Right. So we're like, oh, and I have a quote in the book. I don't know if I can say the words I say in the book.
Come on, bring it on.
All right, because I say the grass is greener on the other side because it's fertilized with bullshit. And I think if we really recognize that and realize that the little things we're seeing in those 3-inch squares is not real life, is not reality, I think that we will feel happier understanding that they had a whole journey that got them there. They're playing on their strengths. They're playing on their superpowers. They're doing the things that are fulfilling to them. That doesn't have to be the same for you. You are your own magical unicorn. You be you. You go after the things that you really want in the way that works for you. Play to your strengths, play to your weaknesses.
Yes.
Let both of those embody what you want. right?
Mm,
And then we can lean into that. And I think that's the thing that everybody does. You're not alone in having looked over that fence and thought, yep, that's what I need to do. We all do that because we don't know. We often don't take time to even define what success looks like.
that's it.
And because we haven't defined it, it's this like finish line that's like constantly moving and we never reach it and we are exhausted. We're running a race that never ends.
And then we
Yeah.
feel badly for ourselves when we never reach the finish line that doesn't actually
Oh,
exist because we couldn't get there anyway. That's right.
right. Right. So this is why we want to understand our cathedral. Where is it we want to go? So when we're really mapping out and trying to understand what our goals are, we start with that in mind. That's our potential. What's my potential? Let's say 10 years down the road. That's my potential, my cathedral. What if we back that up a little bit and we decide what's possible? If that's what's my potential, what's possible in 3 years or 5 years? What's possible there? And now we understand that. Okay, so if that's what's possible, let's back it up a little bit more. What's practical? What's practical that I could do in 12 months, maybe 18 months? What's something I could do in 12 to 18 months that would be really practical? Then we back that up even more. What do I need to prioritize? If that's what's practical, what is it I need to prioritize in my life? Those priorities, those are your goals. Those are the things that you really want to go after. So we go potential, then we go to possible, then we go practical, and then priorities. And those few priorities, notice I said few, like 3, maybe 4, right? 3 to 4 goals. Those are the things we really want to focus in on. And when we call them priorities, it's because we need to treat them like priorities. If you're wanting to get to that cathedral, this is where you start.
Yep.
Right? That cathedral seems really far away, maybe seems impossible, seems like that'll never happen. And you're right, sister, it's not going to happen if you don't take those first steps. So taking this little tiny itty bitty step, prioritizing something, that's how we start to make progress. That's how we start to feel good about what we're doing each and every day. That's when we're winning every single day instead of waiting to cross that finish line hundreds of days down the road or hundreds of years down the road is what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. And if anybody's saying, can she break down those 4 P's one more time? She goes through all 4 in the book. One of the things, even as you're talking, so it's almost like I can hear our viewers in the background saying, yeah, but, and there's always that yeah, but monster who comes in, shattering the limiting beliefs and saying, well, yeah, I guess in a year I could do this, except for that in my situation, I have X, Y, or Z, or I'm not cut out for it. Or what if nobody likes the direction I'm going? What if I make somebody mad? So how do we come over those limiting belief monsters, or the guy on our shoulder, or the life partner we have, or the parent that we have who comes in and tries to convince you to play small or kind of shifts you away from your purpose? How do we stay aligned, and how do we even know for sure what our potential is, how big we can go and how far we can get with our cathedral?
Yeah, I like that question because it's hard if you don't have buy-in, and we want buy-in from everybody. Right? So let's address that first, because the truth is, if you live your life worrying about disappointing others, the only person who will be disappointed is you.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So we have to let go of that. And the truth is, those people in our world, whether it's our significant other or our family members or our friends, they want you to play small because they want you to stay safe.
Yes.
It's not because they're trying to hold you back. They don't mean to. They love you. They're doing it out of love. They are just like, you know what? You've been really safe over here, so let's just keep you over here, right? Let's wrap you in bubble wrap and make sure you don't get out, and there's no chance of anything bad happening, which means there's never a chance of anything amazing happening either. Right. So we have to let go of worrying about what everybody else thinks, which is so much easier to say than it is to execute, right? But it is really figuring out what is it you want. And when you understand your own cathedral, it becomes so much easier to ground yourself, to feel centered, and to stand tall and true to what you want. I'll tell you, just about everything you want is on the other side of a difficult 2-minute conversation.
Ooh, right? I love that.
So when these people aren't buying in, have you had a conversation with them? Have you explained to them your thinking? Have you explained to them what your big vision is and what you're doing? Because a lot of times we are also projecting those feelings onto other people. Oh, my husband would never allow me to do such and such, or oh, I can't do this because of, and I think a lot of times we put the blame on these people And we don't realize we've added a really heavy burden to them.
Yes.
A lot of people love to blame their kids. Can't do this because I've
Yes.
got kids. Really? Do your kids know that you're blaming them? Do your
Mm,
kids know that you're adding that extra weight onto their shoulders of it's their fault that you're not moving forward in your dreams? That's a little bit of harsh talk there, right? Like
I
that's some
love it.
tough love.
Yes.
But when we reframe it and we recognize and realize, oh, you don't even realize we're doing it. And
No.
again, we're not doing it, out of anything other than love, but we're doing that to keep ourselves small. And it's time to break out of that. It really is. So for me, I like to tell people that it's getting to the heart of why you want what you want and why you have those beliefs, right? So we need to really channel, I'm thinking of our children, channel our inner 3-year-old. Ask yourself why. And in the book, we talk about the 5th why. You're not going to get the answer with that first why. You're going to go super
Mm,
shallow, right? I
yep.
can't do this because it's going to be a super shallow why. If you ask why 4 more times, get to the 5th why, you're going to have that deep, dark answer, which is
Mm-hmm.
really what's going to help you move forward. You know, oftentimes we think that the opposite of stuck is unstuck. That there's this magical like moment where the clouds part and the rainbows shoot out of the sky and we're suddenly unstuck. But the opposite of stuck is action, taking action, tiny action, itty bitty action, little steps, not the giant leaps, but it's the
Yes.
small steps that matter. So it really is, first of all, looking at what's holding you back, asking yourself, why is this holding me back? 5 times, not once. We're not going for shallow. We're going deep here, ladies. All right. We're going deep and we want to know, why am I feeling this way? And then taking one small action to counter that. If it's because you're the worst at money, what can you do on a regular basis so that you don't feel like you're the worst with money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, something small you could do is making sure that you're reconciling your accounts once a week on Financial Fridays. You know how much I love alliteration and
I know it.
automations, right?
I
I
know
talk
it.
about that a lot in The Joy of Missing Out. But having a Financial Friday where you're reconciling your accounts, making sure that payroll is getting taken care of, whatever it is you need to do, you do that in a 30-minute container every Friday. After a couple of Fridays, you know what? You're not the worst at money. You're now the woman who takes care of her financial needs and looks at her budget once a week. So it's really about reframing who we are to ourselves. These limiting beliefs are often these stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves that have no basis in truth.
Mm. I so completely agree. You hit on so many key points that have been powerful for me. I will say the 5 whys. So I was very blessed, and Tanya sent me a copy of her book early, so I'm a little bit ahead of the rest. And the 5 whys for me was something I put into practice pretty early,
Mm-hmm.
shortly after reading the book. It was like one of those instant, like, all right, let me give this a go. And I've noticed as a leader with my own team, how impactful that alone has been. Like, I'll use it on myself for sure. Ask myself, like, why am I
Mm-hmm.
feeling this way? Why is this jealousy coming up? Why am I making this decision in my business? And I'll ask myself the 5 whys. But I've noticed how much healthier my conversations are as a leader. So, like, to the salon owners, if you're going at it with a stylist and they say, I'm so irritated with you. You never have what I need in the salon. Okay, tell me more. Why? Why is that so irritating for you? Well, because it's frustrating. I can't get anything done. Okay, and why does it feel that way that you can't get anything done? And as you dig deeper, it starts to become, well, the real reason is I'm struggling financially and I'm kind of freaking out. And it's like the bottom line wasn't about the
Yep.
towels or the granola bars or anything else. But
No.
when you get down deep with yourself or with another person and you can say, okay, yeah, I can see what, and now I understand. Of course, you're feeling upset. Let's work through that deeper why versus staying
Mm-hmm.
so surface level, whether it's with ourselves, another person. And it really does. It's more effective communication within ourselves and with anybody else too.
It's creating those conversations, right? It's
Yes.
allowing those conversations to come to light because a lot of times we let our imagination run wild in
Yes.
the hallways of what other people
Yes.
are thinking or feeling or
Oh,
believing. And this is, yeah, you hit right on it with the 5th why. It's so easy to do because it's literally something you could do anytime. You could do it while you're
yep.
driving in the car. You could do it while
Yes.
you're in the shower. I've done it with my kids to walk them through their limiting beliefs. I've done it with my team members. I've done it with women in all walks of life. And it really is about getting to that deeper level because when you understand what is the root cause, why is it I really am feeling this way, It's like opening up the bandages and giving it air.
Yes.
That is when it begins to heal.
Yes.
But a lot of times we're like, ooh, I like the bandage. It covers it up because it's ugly. I don't like it. And I get that. But honestly, here's the thing. We love to look at the things that are like our shiny trophies, the things that make us feel amazing, the things that prove to the outside world that we are amazing. But it's in the things that are painful. It's in the trauma. It's in the failures. It's in the things that we don't really like. That is the most fertile ground of all. That is where we grow roots. And that is where we start to bloom into who it is we really want to be. We are so much faster as humans to move away from pain than we are to move towards pleasure, right? We don't decide that we want to go on a diet until our pants are too tight, right?
That's right.
We don't decide that we're going to stop cutting hair till 9:00 at night until we realize we missed dinner with the family once again, right? So when we have that pain, it's easier to push against so that we can move towards what is really pleasurable. And so there's a section of the book where we talk about this idea of moving from regret to resilience. If we know what we don't want, that is such a strong catalyst for understanding what we do want. For me, I went through in my business a period. It's a long story. I'm going to give just the cliff notes of having product arrive to me. I had a whole warehouse, giant warehouse, thousands of boxes of product that were all damaged, like every single piece. And I knew that if I didn't get this fixed right away, that was the end of my business. So I had to really work long hours. For 3 months, I worked 7 days a week, like 12, 14-hour days. The kids got off the bus. They went straight to the warehouse. They didn't do any play dates, straight to the warehouse. They didn't eat dinner at home. We ate at the warehouse, right? Like I fully took advantage of some child labor, right? Like, yeah, they were pitching in and everything.
Family business in that moment.
Family business. That's right. That's right. But we got to the end of that 3 months. And you know what? I reflected back and it wasn't like, yes, we did it. We made it through. It was, I'm the world's worst mom. 100%. I am a terrible mother. What kind of mother am I? What have I done to my kids? And here's the thing. I could have easily just stuck in that moment and said, well, look at me, everybody. I'm the world's worst mom. Let's hide this away. Let's put this under the bed. Let's not talk about it. But instead, I chose to say, I'm the world's worst mom right now. I don't want to be the world's worst mom. What do I need to do differently? And it was in that moment, literally in that moment, and this is now several years past. In that moment, I decided, all right, no more of this. I'm not doing this ever again. I'm leaving work every day at 3:00. So I leave work every day, 3:00. I go home, I take off my CEO of the office hat, I put on my CEO of the home hat. I go home, I focus on my kids, I do the things I want to do with my friends and my family after 3:00. That is a boundary I set for myself because of that hard season. And I haven't gone back. But I never would have said, I'm going to leave work at 3:00 because I would have said, that's impossible. That's ridiculous. No one can do that. But I decided I needed to because I was moving away from pain. Didn't want to be the world's worst mom ever again. Not that I haven't had a moment or two of being the world's worst mom, but that's just real life.
I had one of those this morning. They come up all the time. And that was one of the things that really resonated for me as well. I ended up developing a similar practice, but stumbled my way into it. And I wish people could do more strategically, like you just said. In my family, we call it all in. So when I'm at work, I'm all in. If you call me, I will decline your phone call. But when I am home, I'm also all in. I'm hyper present to where I am, because that was the only way for me to save my sanity and for me to stay on track and for me to actually make the progress I needed without telling myself I was a horrible wife, a horrible mother. It is that finding the time to do it all and being able to see the greater purpose that allows you to feel good about going all in. If you know you're in line with your purpose, suddenly making those decisions doesn't feel so, well, I'm just doing this for a job. It's like, nope, we're getting somewhere. This is okay. This is how we're going to get to where we're going. It makes such a difference.
It's so true. And the thing is, and this is one of the things we touch on in the book, when you're not all in. I love that term, all in. I love that because I feel exactly the same way. Like I'm all in with my family. When I'm at home, I'm all in. But the thing is, if you're not all in with sharing your gifts, you're holding that back from the world. Right? If you aren't doing the things that you are amazing at, that you do an incredible job of, that transforms people's lives, because that is what you do when you make people feel good about their appearance, when you make people feel more confident, they roll their shoulders back, they hold their chin up higher. If you are not doing that all in, you're being selfish. You're keeping that from the rest of the world. And it's a reframing of how we look at that. You feel like you're being selfish by going after your dreams. You're being selfish by not giving your dreams the space and air to breathe, to transform other people's lives and to make that impact in the world that you were designed to make. And it doesn't matter what you're doing right now. It doesn't matter if you are in the shop sweeping up hair as you're learning, or if you're the one who's running the whole show. You have the opportunity to change and transform people's lives on a daily basis. So go all in and do it.
Tanya, you're so amazing. And thank you for saying and sharing that. That's one of the things I think as hairstylists, we feel like, are we doing enough? Does it matter that I make a man or a woman feel their most confident selves? And to hear you say it and just give us that gift back to say you are making an impact, like go all in on yourself. Don't cheat yourself or your guests from all of the incredible gifts that you've brought in this lifetime and in this world. Thank you for empowering us to all do that. I so appreciate it. So I'm hooked. We could keep talking forever, but tell us, where can we get our copy of On Purpose, and where do we follow you and learn more about you?
Yes, so you can find the book really anywhere books are sold: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the regular places, Books A Million, your local bookstore. You can also connect with me at tanyadalton.com. I have links to the book there. I have links also to The Joy of Missing Out, my first book. I have videos and all kinds of things. My podcast, The Intentional Advantage. So tanyadalton.com is a great place to go.
Thank you so much, Tanya. And Intentional Advantage is one of my personal faves. So subscribe if you're not already. Make sure you tune in. Thank you so much, friend, for taking the time. I know we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you.